Good afternoon, especially to our professor, Dr. Gloria Benigno, to our moderator, co-presenter, and classmates. Good afternoon. I will be your last presenter discussing another philosophy, the social reconstructionism. But before that, let's overview our topic for today. First, let's define what is social reconstructionism. Next, discuss the proponent and the practitioners, to be followed by curriculum, assessment, role of the school, and role of the teacher. Next is the mode of instruction. So, first, what is social reconstructionism? It is an educational philosophy that views schools as tools to solve social problems. Social reconstructionists reason that because all leaders are product of schools, schools should provide a curriculum that fosters their development. Reconstructionists not only aim to educate a generation of problem solvers, but also try to identify and correct many noteworthy social problems that face our nation, with diverse targets including racism, pollution, homelessness, poverty, and violence. Rather than a philosophy of education, Reconstructionism may be referred to as of a remedy for society that seeks to build a more objective social order. This theory also claims to be a successor of progressivism that declares that the chief purpose of education is to reconstruct society in order to meet the cultural crisis brought about social, political, and economic problems. Next, we have the proponents and the practitioner of the social reconstructionism. First proponent is Theodore Brameld. So Theodore Brameld um, was born in 1904, was one of the leading educational philosophers of the 20th century. Brameld is known as the founder of social reconstructionism. Social reconstructionism is a philosophy that means you should address the problems going on and try to help the social orders. Brameld thought that schools should take a lead in changing or reconstructing the social order. Brameld advocated that schools be a driving force for social and political change. He held that a system of public education that is aware of the findings of the behavioral sciences could bring out fundamental changes in the social and economic structure of society. Brameld also founded the educational philosophy of social reconstructionism, which emphasized the addressing of social questions and quest to create a better society and worldwide democracy. Social reconstructionist educators focus on a curriculum that emphasizes social reform as the aim of education. Brameld believed that creation of the new social order through education would fulfill the basic values of society and harmonize with the underlying social and economic forces of the modern world. The child, the school, and education would be continued by social and cultural forces. The teacher's role was to convince his or her students of the validity and urgency of the reconstructionist solution. In order to do this, education would have to be completely refashioned to meet the demands of the present cultural crisis. So we have the next practitioner or the proponent. Next is Paulo Freire. Paulo Freire is a Brazilian whose experiences living in poverty lead him to champion education and literacy as a vehicle for social change. Humans must learn to resist oppression and not become its victim nor oppressor, no oppressed others rather. She saw teaching and learning as a process of inquiry in which the child must invent and reinvent the world. Paulo Freire's works has influenced many people working in education, community development, community health, and many other fields. Freire developed an approach to education that links the identification of issues to positive change for positive action for change and development. While Freire's original work was in adult literacy, his approach leads us to think about how we read the society around us. For Freire, the educational process is never neutral. People can be passive recipient of knowledge, whatever the content, or they can engage in a problem-posing approach in which they become active participants. As part of this approach, it is essential that people link knowledge to action so that they can actively work to change their society at the local level and beyond. Next, let's discuss the curriculum. Opportunity for students to gain first-hand experience in studying real social problems and controversial issues. The teacher must use activities such as role-playing or debate about our current controversial issues. Students consider societal problems such as place of ethics in improving quality of life, conserve natural resources, and issues of foreign policy and naturalism. The curriculum focuses on students' experience and taking social actions on real problems such as violence, hunger, international terrorism, inflation, inequality. Strategies for dealing with controversial issues, particularly in social studies and literature, inquiry, dialogue, and multiple perspective are the focus. Community-based learning and bringing the world into classroom are also best strategies. The nature of curriculum should be used to improve students' ability to think critically about problems in society. When when they are being taught, for instance, about gender equality in the past, they should be able to relate it to gender issues that are still present today. When a teacher presents his material to his or her students and then allows them to freely discuss it, the nature of the curriculum will automatically cause students to formulate their own opinions towards such controversial or important issues. Next, we have the assessment. The assessment that should be in place in schools should also follow a certain model under social reconstructionism. Assessments must require students to express their own opinion about the certain problem within society eloquently and adamantly. Assessments therefore must be designed with the intent to improve students' communication skills. It is possible to do this through testing students' abilities to write essays, provide short answer to questions, thoroughly answering discussion questions, and being able to explain why their answers are correct or why they believe that they do. The importance of assessment being designed to improve or compare students' communication skills benefits the students not only academically in school, but also within the world outside the school. Students, with practice and throughout the duration of the school experience, being presented with assessment where they must express themselves through writing, will in turn improve their abilities to successfully communicate their beliefs, opinions, or arguments on different controversial issues. So next, we have the purpose of schooling. To teach students and the public not to settle for what is, but rather to dream about what might be. Students prepare students to become the agent for change. Social reconstructionism in education allows for the discussion of controversial issues in the classroom and promote the understanding of multiple perspectives. The purpose of education, accordingly to the philosophy of social reconstructionism, is to reconstruct the society. So, we have the role of the teacher. An educator who is also a social activist. A good teacher must produce leaders, not followers. The world needs teachers who want to produce human being, not clones or walking encyclopedias. The world needs teachers who talk about the issues that matter, such as current racial tensions around the globe, and finding solutions, not teachers who hear it, see it, and hope it will fix itself. The world needs teachers who recognize that many learners may be marginalized because of their race, gender, and social orientation, and are willing to make themselves feel safe and accepted in the classroom environment. Next, sees education as a tool for problems solving the problems of the society. The teacher can inform others about the nature and the extent of the problem. Also, the teacher can also suggest what one can do about this problem. Next, we have teachers should become facilitator for analysis, and change. The reconstructionist classroom contains a teacher who involves the students in discussion of moral dilemmas to understand the implication of one's action. Students individually select their objectives and social priorities. Knowledge is power. Misconception and ignorance are eliminated when knowledge is gained. It is a teacher's duty to provide his or her students with knowledge and to present it in a way that causes students to think critically. The teacher must be fearless and bold, unafraid to present their students with material that may be controversial or may cause students to become uncomfortable or emotional. The role of the teacher is also to create a democratic environment so that lessons and topic may be discussed, debated, and students' voices will be heard. In order for students to end up changing their society, they have to believe that their voice matters and that they can make difference in the world. It is the role of the teacher to make sure that his or her learners know that they can make difference. Their opinion matters and their voices can and will be heard. So next, we have the methods of instruction. The most important aspect of the methods of instruction should be student-centered. According to Sadker and Settlement in the year 2010, describes student-centered philosophies as one that are less authoritarian, less concerned with the past, and training the mind and more focused on individual needs, contemporary relevance, and preparing students for the changing future. In order to best meet these goals, teacher and students work together in the student-centered philosophy to choose what should be learned and how students should learn it. The teacher spends less time lecturing and more time allowing students to work together in groups, challenging one another and bouncing ideas off one another. After all, being able to work well with others is very important skills, especially in the workforce. Teachers should act as facilitator and help guide their students in the direction they need to go. This method of teaching places more responsibility on students in that they can simply rely on the teacher to tell them everything that they need to know. They have to dig for themselves somewhat and form their own opinion based on what they think, not what they are told to think. This student-centered method of instruction benefits students by preparing them to become responsible citizens, willing to determine their own futures for themselves and not by society's standards. So as you can see, here are the references of my presentation today. So at this juncture, let's have my summary or my conclusion on this philosophy. So social reconstructionism is a philosophy of education that I believe is the most beneficial to our students, teachers, and the world. Under social reconstructionism, there are specific ideas as to what the purpose of education is, and certain principles that are in place when it comes to what role of the teacher is. What is the nature and what is the nature of curriculum assessment should be, and what the method of instruction should be. The purpose of education is to reconstruct society. The role of the teacher is to take a leadership role in which he or she provides a safe environment for his or her students to participate in a democratic classroom. The teacher must inform, challenge, and work to inspire his or her students. The nature of the curriculum and assessment should be material that will bring awareness to social inequities and improve students' communication skills. The method of instruction under social reconstructionism is a student-centered way of teaching in which teachers and students work together to make educational decisions. Social reconstructionism is an educational philosophy that pushes for the reconstruction of society by eliminating social injustice. Reconstructionist philosophy has been an antidote to easy virtues of materialism, traditional cultural values, and social stability. Its theory is not widely accepted, but it can be stimulate and provoke critical thinking. It has provided vision for a more perfect world and suggested ways to obtaining them. Concern for social values, humane justice, human community, world peace, economic justice, equality of opportunity, freedom and democracy are the significant goals for social reconstructionism. So that's end of my discussion. Thank you for listening. Have a great day and stay safe, everyone. Thank you.